we're spelling out the business case for evidence for sustainability. I mean, in the earlier days, companies pursued environmental targets for reasons of compliance, and greenwashing, well, these days have gone. Environmental performance was considered a cost center. Now it's actually a business model, and it's part of every company's mission to be sustainable, one way or the other. So today's event is part of the EU Green Week 2021 Zero Pollution for a Healthier People and Planet. Our collective aim to develop new knowledge, products and services, contributing in one way or several ways to the EU Zero Pollution Action Plan, i.e. by 2050 we should reduce levels of emissions to water, air and soil, so as not to be harmful to human health and natural ecosystems. So it's my pleasure to welcome the speakers from a wide range of stakeholders. We are the game changers, and these are key projects in the circular and bioeconomy. And this range from a smallhold farmer through to high-tech SMEs, world-leading machinery manufacturers, multinational processors of agroforestry products, and a mass producer of mass furniture, so mass consumer products. Because if we can't convince consumers that that circular economy, bioeconomy, zero emissions is important, worth paying for, then the industry is not going to follow. So this is the concept behind this, a market-driven approach. And we're happy today to present to you 5 of our projects, which RTDS Group has successfully established with partners from all over Europe. You're going to meet them today. We're really happy that everybody's here. We hope that this is going to stimulate some interesting discussion between the partners and the participants. We have the chance. We're going to have some short presentations of each of these 5 projects. Some of them have recently begun. So Staynair just begun at the beginning of 2021. Tech-Free Fact is in its final year, will actually be completed in the end of June. And the other 3 projects are somewhere in between. So we have 5 projects in the bio and circular economy, 4 projects. The 4 of them are funded by the Bio-Based Industries Joint Undertaking, and Sustainair is funded under Horizon 2020. So my name's Stephen Webb. I'm leading RTDS Group. We are a specialized consultancy and service provider to the research community. Our main focus is on bio and circular economy projects. We've been doing this for a number of years now, actually about 20. And we're really happy that we finally managed to bring a few projects together to let the people get to know each other outside of their own project, outside of their own silo. And I think we're going to have an interesting discussion today. So the first half, as I said, is some presentations. The second half, we're going to then have a discussion group. You can enter your questions into the chat. The event, as you can see, the event is recorded, live streamed on YouTube. There's an official hashtag for follow the conversation on social media, i.e. hashtag for Green Deal. The slides will be shared on the event website in a PDF format after the event. And of course, as I said, if you'd like to ask any questions, please use the chat and we'll pick up on those and have as a basis for discussion on the second half of the event today. So here are our 5 projects going to be presented. I will begin by introducing each project briefly, mentioning who's behind it, and we'll take it one by one. Then we'll have some questions, as I said, in the second half. So our first project is Tech for Effect, which is a project which is actually began in 2016. It has the full title, Knowledge and Technologies for Effective Wood Procurement. Tech for Effect uses digitalization and technologies to enable forest sector efficiency by basically using data, digitizing forestry information in the harvesting process. We're going to have a joint presentation from NIBIO and from Ponsi, NIBIO being one of the largest research institutes in Norway, focusing on food security, safety, sustainable resource management. Rasmus Astrup is head of research at the Division of Forest and Forest Resources from NIBIO. He's the Tech for Effect coordinator and leading work package 4 on reducing site impact, which is essentially what the project is mainly about. And secondly, in the Tech for Effect presentation, we'll have a partner from Finland. And Finland, of course, a country with 80% forest cover, undeniably a stronghold in the European bioeconomy, both in terms of wood and biomass production, but also in processing and relevant technologies. And if Europe wants to substitute more fossil-based products, we're going to need to sustainably manage and effectively look after the most important feedstock we have for the bioeconomy, and that's the forest. So Ponsi is a Finnish manufacturer of cut-to-length forest machines, harvesting machines, and related systems. Kalle Ainola is manager and technology manager and product safety and IPR in Ponsi. And they are involved with several field tests with their machines. And so we're going to see how these machines are working in the forest and the contribution to improving or reducing emissions in the forest in the harvesting process. So I will hand straight over to Rasmus to begin his presentation. If you would like to take the screen, Rasmus.
Yes, thank you, Stevens. Thank you for the introduction. There we go. I hope you see my screen now.
We do.
Excellent. So thank you for the introduction. I'll try to give you a brief introduction to what we've been working with in Tech for Effect and a bit about the role of forests in the bioeconomy. So why is this not moving? It's not there. So basically the background for Tech for Effect is that, of course, the bioeconomy needs growing amounts of wood and biomass. Really, the supply of biomass and wood are the whole foundation for a growing bioeconomy, and we have to meet that supply. But at the same time, of course, forests play an enormous role in having a healthy society. So we have to ensure that forest management is also environmentally sustainable at the same time as it, of course, has to be profitable for the individual owners of that forest. What we do in Tech for Effect is we focus on the harvesting and extraction of biomass and timber. And the reason why we focus on harvesting is, first of all, it's one of the most cost intensive units in forest management. It's the most fuel intensive part of forest management. And finally, it is really associated with the greatest, what can we say, negative environmental impacts as well. That's why it's an area that's very interesting to work with, because it's really an area where we can make a difference to the whole value chain and to the forest by making both technical and digital improvements. And really, when we talk about the bioeconomy, often what you see these nice pictures of new products or new products made out of different types of fibers, green products, and so forth. But in reality, the consumer may not see the difference between a bottle that's made out of wood and a bottle that's made out of plastic. But what they actually will see in reality is that they will see the what is actually going on outside their window in the forest. So they'll see the machines, they'll see the impact of what we do in the forest, of the land management that we do, and really therefore focusing on the whole supply and a sustainable supply with a social acceptance that we need the supply, I believe is a key aspect for actually having a successful bioeconomy emerging throughout Europe. So what we have seen in forest operations over time, this is an example from Sweden that shows the development in the productivity in cubic meters in the forest per day of work through time from 55 and onwards. And what we've seen a tremendous improvement in the efficiency of the productivity. The reasons are mainly technical improvements of mechanical improvements. So it's basically going from chainsaws or even from hand saws to chainsaws towards fully mechanized harvesting, such as Carl Einola is going to show you much more about later. And really that has caused an enormous increase in efficiency, which of course has reduced the cost of biomass and wood for new products tremendously. The question is, of course, how do we improve the efficiency of the forest sector even more, both from a production standpoint, but also from an environmental standpoint. And there, my point is that I think what we do see across sectors now is that we see this kind of digital revolution that is really changing the way we do things. We see the different enabling technologies that can be applied across sectors. And really, when they're applied in a specific sector, in combination with big data and advanced analytics, they really give the possibility for innovation, improved efficiency, and new business models. And that's really the core of what we've been trying to do in Tech for Effect. And really, I think what is the core of how we should try to improve both the environmental and production efficiency of the forest sector in the years to come. So just to give you an idea, focusing on forest machines, here you see a harvester, and really what we have to start to think about is to start to think about machines and people in a whole other way. We have to start thinking about them as continuous data collectors out in the forest that collect data that we can use to improve decisions, or we can, what can we say, update the data that we collect to information and decision support that really leads to more sustainable and environmental forest management. So what you see here is just the harvester. You see a map of where all the trees have been harvested. You see an extra sensor on a machine mapping the tracks after the machine on the machine. So really the core of what we try to do, and I think the core of what and a tremendous opportunity that we have in forest is to use all this information to improve our management so that we get the biomass that we need at the same time as we can improve the environmental sustainability and gain the social acceptance for the extraction. So really, we have to remember that forests are central to a green Europe. And if we take the opportunities, both through technical and digital opportunities, we can really improve forest operation and then more realizing the contribution of forest to the European bioeconomy. And with that, I'd just like to thank our funding organizations and pass the word to Carl Einola, who's going to talk more about some of the technical improvements that are actually done to forest machines today. So thank you.
So thank you, Rasmus, for speaking me in, and let me share my screen here. I hope you guys can see it.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
There we go, full screen. Thank you.
So, okay, my name is Carl Einola. I work as a Ponsse PLC since all of my professional career, a little bit over than 20 years. Currently, I'm working as an R&D manager responsible for technology and research projects and programs, but also product safety and compliance of Ponsse products and also the IPR, IPR side. And I have a small set of slides here to together with Rasmus, this time from this Tech for Effect point of view. Just one slide about Ponsse PLC. I believe many of you might know us already, but we are really a 50-year-old family company, one of the leading suppliers in the field of cut-to-length forestry. We are very lucky to be able to focus only on cut-to-length, which is the more sustainable way of doing forestry. And we are making a lot of the value in-house. So we are really building these machines from scratch. Next slide is kind of giving an idea what kind of an impact this equipment has on the global forestry and emissions. And we are not far away from delivering our 17,000 unit to the market. That's going to be next month or July or August actually this year. And machines are distributed quite well over this planet. You can notify the northern hemisphere, a lot of that softwood and natural forests, and then the southern hemisphere, plantation forestry and so on. But all in all, as we've done life cycle analysis on this equipment, how the emissions are actually created, it's clear that over 90% of the impact and the emissions are coming during the operation. So basically that's currently diesel fuel burned for these operations. So it makes it very, very clear that we need to focus on that fuel efficiency. Next slide. This is somewhat internal slide actually. So as a company we have a vision and a mission, but for R&D, which is my function in this company, we have set a vision to be the clear technology leader in cut-to-length forestry, and we are really striving towards carbon neutrality, which is a really bold statement and vision actually, and we are clearly not there yet, but we are doing a lot of things to reach that. And we also want to be the supplier for the most sustainable and innovative solutions. And here in the lower part of the slide we see the key means to reach those, and the first one is the operator assist systems. So basically when you want to lower the emissions, you can improve the productivity, and this is the key to improve productivity, to help the operators, often not so skilled operators in these days, to kind of reach a good level of productivity. Then of course we need to focus on the energy efficiency of the drives and systems. Today it's mainly hydraulic and hydrostatic, but we are looking for better ways there. Of course, digitalization, especially we want to make the operations in a smarter way and optimize like forwarding on site and so on. And all of that together, I think it boils down to better sustainability. Then let me apologize for a little bit busy slide. It's talking our vision, mission and purpose on the same slide, and a lot of values and things, but I want to emphasize the megatrends here in the upper right hand corner. And as an engineer, it's really kind of easy to notify that technology is really changing everything also in this industry, and that's the pace of change is faster than ever. That's what I can confirm. And then the other point is that we have this sustainability crisis right now, and that's what we all see and hear. And our statement here is that doing the cut-to-length forestry the right way, I think we are more of the like a part of the solution than just the problem. So using renewable forestry products, materials to build buildings and replace steel and concrete, I think that's the key. And then as the final slide, I just took one of our recent products as a highlight and kind of telling what we've done for these these targets to reach lower emissions and so on. I will let the video play in the background without voice, but this product, Bison Active Frame Forwarder, is actually featuring 5 quite nice features. And for example, the industry first power split CVT transmission on a forwarder, and we measured up to 20% of improvement in fuel efficiency just from the drive transmission side. Of course, the engine emissions, it's been getting more strict all the time, and this is meeting the requirements, and it's the EU stage 5, which means that we are using the SCR, EGR, and DPF technologies at the engine. Not so simple actually to do that in forest operations. Then this machine also features the active crane, which is our inertia-based position feedback boom control system, which will serve as the platform for future developments. Basically, these booms are going towards a robotic arm, doing some sequences more automatically than today. Then it also has the dual circuit hydraulics for improved productivity and efficiency. And finally, also this active frame in the front of the machine to improve the operator economy and also lower the soil impact from the front side part.
Well, thank you, Rasmus and Carla. Obviously, the machines are essential to improving the efficiency of the harvesting, and no wood, no bioeconomy. It's simple as that. And so, yeah, please do enter any questions you have into the chat. We're going to come back and ask our speakers for any more details as we go. And just one point is that you notice, especially these machines are also having a special feature that they need to also not impact the soil. So it's not just about air emissions, it's also about reducing the impact to the soil and creating ruts and waterways in the forest, which leads to erosion. So there's a lot of technology which goes into these machines, and we look forward to having some discussion on that as we go on. Now, my next project to introduce to you is the Susbind project. Now, Susbind is we have 2 sister projects. We like to call them sister projects, Susbind and Susvert. They were prepared in the same call for they both began in 2018. So in 2017 we would have written the proposal and the proposals, and they both got funded at the same time, and they're the Sus sisters, so to say, the sustainability sisters. And so Susbind is about development and pilot production of sustainable biobinders systems for wood-based panels, and it's an excellent project with a very solid value chain, an industry-driven project, like most of our projects. But here we're particularly strong in that we're covering from the feedstock supply through to processing, through to producing this binder, which is essentially to reduce the air emissions of formaldehyde and a negative impact of on the quality of indoor air. So we're going to have a presentation first from our feedstock supplier, who's also actually a processor in the project. This is from the company Cargill, and for those who don't know Cargill, because it's actually not really a consumer brand, it's more B2B. But it's a really interesting company. It's a company which goes back to 1865 in the Midwest, where a single grain trader established the company, and now in that time it's now reached 155,000 employees in 70 countries around the world. 24 of these countries are in Europe, so yes, they are a European company as much as a US company, and they're involved in it's actually owned by farmers, more or less, and they basically process food, agriculture, and also offer financial and industry services, biochemicals, it's a multinational in a true sense. And I'm very happy to introduce you to Massimo Brigola, who's the global application lead for industrial adhesives at Cargill, and he's the scientific coordinator of the project. RTDS is the coordinator, and Cargill, i.e. Massimo, leads the scientific coordination. And they work with their laboratory in Germany in this project. And then the second partner I would like to introduce to you at the far end on the right side of the value chain is a small company. No, it's not a small company. It's a company which it doesn't need any introduction at all. It's IKEA. IKEA, life at home. Truly a household brand. Everybody knows IKEA. If you're ever in Sweden and you've got some time to spare, just travel nearly 2 hours through the forest north from Malmö, and you'll land in a place called Almhult, and that is where the home and the origin of IKEA is. There you find the IKEA campus, heart and soul of the IKEA design and innovation, and you'll find the IKEA museum there. So my colleague and I, Mike Muger, we visited them and had a tour through their innovation section, met some great people there, met Johan Brook, and I'm going to introduce you to Johan Brook. So IKEA is producing, as we all know, furniture for the mass market. And this is the idea that we want to produce a binder which is going to help reduce emissions from furniture on the mass market. And IKEA is obviously the leading brand in the world for that. So we're very happy to introduce both of these gentlemen. Johan is the Deputy Managerial and Innovation Leader at IKEA Sweden. So we're very happy to welcome Johan and Cargill. And may I give the floor to Massimo, please, from Cargill, who will give us an introduction briefly on the project, and then we'll look at the case for IKEA. Why is this project important to them? Why is sustainability is a business case? And yeah, please, Suspine, let's hear about it. Massimo, come in, Massimo.
Yes, good morning. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. Need to have a full screen function, please. Thank you. We got the wrong side. We can only.
Can you see now?
It. Perfect. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Stephen, for your introduction. As mentioned, my name is Massimo Bregola. I'm working for Cargill, and particularly for the business unit called Cargill Bioindustrial. Today I have the pleasure to share with you some few insights about the SUSBIND project. And before to start that, I would like also to give the word to Johan. Johan, if you want to introduce yourself, because IKEA is also an important partner across the project supply chain. Johan.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. So my name is Johan Brook. I work for IKEA, and then I'll try to, in a few slides, then also share some thoughts from IKEA side. We are a supporter of this project, highly interesting and fully in line with the IKEA ambitions that we have going forward. So I'll leave back to you, Massimo, and you do the first slides, and then I'll pick up at the end.
Thank you, Johan. So the presentation is organized with a very general description about the project. Of course, if you have any question, you can pose your question. We'll try to answer to your question afterwards. And then there will be a part where Johan will share some insight about what does it mean sustainability for IKEA. So let's go directly to the summary of the project. So we start as a Cargill together with other partners to think about this opportunity in 2016, and this the reason is that we were looking to what were the chemicals that are largely used in Europe that could be replaced because of their life cycle assessment in general as a footprint. And we identified the adhesive that are used today in the wood industry as a subject target, because it could be possible eventually to replace those with, let's say, renewable chemical. Of course, this was a very challenging target, because if you think about the adhesive which are used today in the wood board manufacturing, only limiting to specific types like particle board or medium density fiberboard, we are speaking about a huge volume. We are speaking about 2.5 million tons of those chemicals used as adhesive in this market. For that reason, we say, okay, we cannot have the ambition, although the project, it could be eventually a RIA project, so a R&D project inside the BBI framework. We cannot even think about to try to find a solution fulfilling this type of requirement without involving important stakeholders across the whole supply chain. In fact, Cargill can be considered in Europe as a supplier of ingredient, particularly carbohydrate, but also oil and also proteins, different type of materials. But we cannot invent anything alone if we are not working together with a reasonable partner. We were lucky enough to be able to involve in this discussion very important industrial partners such as IKEA, Egger, Valbopan, but also Jena Bios, that is an important partner with regard to the enzymatical transformation. And then we, of course, we need also to close our knowledge gap, because we are supplier of the feedstock. We were on the other side of the supply chain, very reputable company, able to use eventually the bio-based adhesive, but what was missing, he was in the middle, institute or university able to provide us the right insight in terms of technology. So we involved the Technical University of Dresden, Fraunhofer, of course, and then obviously CSIC, that is the Spanish Center of Scientific Investigation, which is split here in two divisions. One is CIB and the other one is IRNAS. And of course also Woodkey Plus, that is an important player in Austria in terms of institution for everything related to wood characterization, board characterization, and so on. And obviously there was also the participation of Fraunhofer. Then across the project lifespan, we also try to find a solution which were sustainable in all the terms. So it means economical, environmental, but also social. So we need also to identify a partner like CE Delft that was able to give us the right insight across the lifespan of the project. And of course, RTDS and Steven particularly was very useful to engage all the partners and to provide a reasonable project proposal in 2017. What is the project expected to do? Basically, the project is split in three steps. One is about the selection of the sustainable or the most sustainable bio-based feedstock, and we decide to look basically on two streams. One is the carbohydrate stream and the other one is the oil-based stream. And then, thanks to the collaboration of the R&D institution, we were able to deliver solution both based on oil and also on carbohydrate, and with the industrial partner to transform this into a demo production of wood board. Of course, for all these three steps, we need to consider every time what is the economical and environmental sustainability of the solution right from the beginning. This was very challenging because right from the beginning, since it's a project and some of the outcome are, of course, discovered across the project, there were some changes necessary, but we took in consideration about those changes across the project lifespan, because it was important to maintain the commitment that the solution that we are looking is a solution that should have a meaningful industrial application. The project was approved and it started in 2018. The duration is 4 years and there is a not negligible budget allocated. We are close by to the end, so the project will end next year. We have already achieved good result. And I think amongst the result itself that the project is going to deliver from the technical point of view, I want to say that one of the most important results is really the networking and collaboration across the whole supply chain, that I think it will stand longer than the project lifespan. With that, I move the presentation to Johan. Please, Johan.
Okay, so I guess you can hear me. So again, my name is Johan Book. I work in material innovation within IKEA. We work with new solutions, long-term projects that then will help IKEA to move in principle or basically away from fossil-based solutions that we use today to a large extent, and then move them towards recycled and renewable solutions for until 2030. If we move to the next slide. We know the world is changing rapidly. We can see it. The effects are quite visible all over the place, and we believe that in order for IKEA to continue the growth path, as was said before, we are for the mass market. We are for as many people as possible that they can afford IKEA. Therefore, we believe that in order to be able to continue to grow, we need to change also the way we use the materials we use, then feedstocks that are related to our products. By that said, we started up the Material Innovation Organization in order really to find the long-term sustainable solutions that will help IKEA to continue growth, but at the same time reduce the impact on the environment. So if we take next slide. We have decided a few years back in time to move away from a linear economy into a circular economy, meaning that we want to reuse as much as the materials that are available and integrate them back into the product range of IKEA. We design all our furniture today to be able to be recyclable or fully recyclable by 2025. That means not only that we replace then the inbound materials into our products, but we also then make the design of a furniture in such a way that they can be circulated once the products go back after usage at the customer. So take next slide. We look at different kind of change drivers in particular. These change drivers will help us then to reduce our greenhouse gas footprint, and that will help us also to move towards our goal, which is then to replace the fossil-based solutions that we have until 2030. We look at different types of products. Suspine is only one, so we're looking into many of them, but Suspine quite well represents the way that we work, and also here, as Massimo was saying, building up the different types of networks in order then to, throughout the industry, support and find ways to replace the existing solutions with new solutions that are more in harmony where we want to be in future. We look at projects that are based on renewable carbons, meaning clearly replacing the fossil-based carbons that we use in many of our different types of solutions today. We also look at recycled and recyclable materials, meaning that the large extent of the materials that we use today already are based on recycled sources, but it doesn't help us if these materials are not recyclable at the end of the day. So in order to balance both inbound and outbound, we secure that the design of the products as well as the materials that are used within the IKEA range will be recyclable once these products would return back into the circular economy again. And then, of course, one of the big part is also resource efficiency. To reduce less material, but still achieving the same type of quality, same type of performance in the product that we have, moving away from fossil-based energy in the production setups, going to green energy, and then obviously also then replacing the solutions that we have today with new solutions, trying out new ways of producing glues or producing other types of materials in order then still to make a better CO2 footprint at the end of the day, still having all the attributes in terms of long-term sustainability, recyclability, and so forth in the IKEA range. If we take next slide. We believe that the circular economy certainly is all about collaboration. And going back here also to what Massimo said, the project Suspine is interesting in that sense because it is framing a large degree of companies that are active in the full value chain, collaborating in order then to try out, test, and bring new solutions into the market. We of course have high ambitions with IKEA, but that is not good enough. We need peer companies such as IKEA to collaborate, and we in particular need the value chain to collaborate in order to find the options to bring new solutions to the market. It's not only about technical development, it's equally important then that we do the right thing from the beginning, meaning starting with a company such as Cargill, working on solutions that are sustainable in the biosphere, and then moving them throughout the value chain, still reducing emissions, still being effective in the production setup, still being qualitative in the performance of the product at the end of the day. And then, of course, which is equally important, that it's commercially viable at the end of the day, meaning that we can scale it up, we can do it in a way that represents then the industrial scale that needs to be there in order to make a significant impact, positive impact at the end of the day. Taking it then to final slide, I think it is. It's here again, no method is more effective than the good example, and I think Sussbind again is a good example of this type of collaboration. However, just to emphasize that as well, we are always looking for this type of setups, this type of collaborations in order to find the solutions. There will not be one single solution that will replace it all. Sussbind is a good example. That is one solution that is actively being pursued, but of course I believe we need to have many more, and hopefully we will try to encourage the companies to collaborate in order to bring these new solutions to a developed phase, and hopefully then also commercial phase where we then can integrate it into the products. And I think that was the final slide.
Yes, and thank you very much, Massimo and Johan, for that presentation. Yeah, excellent to see that we've got, we really got the full value chain here, and we've got another one just coming up right now. We're going to look at Sussvirt. Also, as I said, in the same BBI joint undertaking program, but this is an innovation action being i.e. TRL7. And again, this is a project coordinated by RTDS with scientific coordination by AIT, and AIT is represented today by Dr. Gunther Brader, who will be presenting the project as a general in a whole, in a nutshell, and SAPI Europe, which is a leading producer of coded fine paper and premium magazines, but also besides that, they are a globally diversified wood fiber company, and they are also working on lignosulfate-based coatings for fertilizer. So this project is really about sustainable multifunctional fertilizer, combining biocoatings, probiotics, and struvite for phosphorus and iron supply. The project is now in its third year, just beginning. So we will also be in this project as an innovation action, be establishing a fermenter to scale up. As we spoke about scaling last time, Sussbind is only TRL5. It's not fully scaled up yet, but Sussvirt will be going a level further. And may I ask Gunther to have to make his presentation, and Nikki from Nicholas Schweiger, please have your presentation ready for straight after. Thank you very much. We need full screen. Thank you. Other screen. Thank you.
So, hello, can you hear me? Can you see the screen?
We need the other side of the screen. You've got the presenter's view. That's always tricky. Maybe that one. Yeah, 9.
Anzeigeeinstellungen. Anzeigeeinstellungen.
To the right.
This.
There we go. Tauschen, genau.
Yep.
Now it's okay. Okay. Thank you. So thank you, Stephen, for the introduction. In Sussvirt, we are working on sustainable fertilizers. And what are the challenges in food production? Of course, we have an ongoing and rising demand for food and feed. And the real problem for a sustainable and circular economy is that we are using resource-intense fertilizer, especially phosphate and nitrogen, which are, in case of phosphate, hardly renewable. And we are dependent, as European Union, on import of phosphate in large extent. This is not only an economic issue, it's also an issue that the rock phosphate imported contains very often heavy metals, and so a production of good fertilizers is not as simple as you might think, and it costs a lot of energy. And to be able to do that better in future, we need to have some ideas, and Sassford is working on this. How does the circular economy deal within that? And the thing is that how can we reduce the phosphate impact, and how can we make life in agriculture more sustainable here? It's clear plants need the phosphate to have a stable and reliable production. And we add this on the field. And the thing is that part of the phosphate gets bind to the soils. And the reason or the idea how we can improve production by still reducing the phosphate entry is to work with systems where we can release the phosphate again from the soil. And that's why we are using different microorganisms, which we want to add into fertilizer solutions. And the second part of the phosphate, well, is simply used up by us, by our cattle, by our industry, by our food production. And instead of pulling this to the sea, we try to recover that in the cleanup plants in the form of struvite, and reuse the struvite in the field. And the third major point in circular economy in the Sassford project is that fertilizers are not simple adding phosphate, nitrogen, potassium to the soil. They are getting more and more sophisticated, and a lot of loss in fertilizers such as nitrogen is lying in that they are added to the field and washed away by use and by heavy rain. But if we are able to cover the fertilizers with coatings, this makes it more available for the plants at the right time. And for that, we are not only developing coatings, but really biodegradable coatings from lignin. We will hear that from Nikki in a minute. Just to show one example, what we have been achieving in Sassford in a small scale. So, of course, you can see on the very right side that plants, if they have not enough P or the P is not available for the plants, are suffering. And conventional P fertilization can recover that very, very good. If adding struvite and microbes in combinations, we are able to gain as good as conventional fertilizers in small field trials and pot trials. What we really want to do in Sassford in now and in the coming years is to bring this idea into industrial scale production together with Rouillet, a French-based company, and TMAC all over Europe. And the final aim will be really to decrease the dependency on mined phosphorus by, the ambitious aim is by 40%. And not only that, it's also that the production for conventional phosphorus fertilizers is heavily energy demanding. And by using recycled phosphate and by reducing the addition of rock phosphate by microorganisms, we are also able to reduce the energy input and bring us more to a green economy. And the role of Sassford in reducing soil contamination is mainly in the second fertilizer we are working with. It's with iron and with the coatings I've mentioned before. The idea in Sassfert is to really use lignin-based coatings, so to reduce the impact of basically fossil-based coatings and reducing iron-based fertilizers, which are dependent on technologies which are not so easily degraded in the soil. And we want to improve that in Sassfert. And we will want to demonstrate the green technologies we are working on paper, but we want to see that really working in an industrial scale. And with that, I want to show you the funding. Of course, this was funded by BBI, as Stephen already mentioned. And I want to hand over to Nikki, who will show the contribution of the lignin sulfonate and the coatings in the Sassfert project. Thank you.
Thank you, Günther, for the very nice introduction, and thank you to the RTDS team to give me the chance to show the SAPI contribution to this to circular and bioeconomy. I hope you can all see my screen.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes. Perfect. So, yes, welcome everybody. Once again, my name is Nicolas Schweiger. I'm a chemical engineer, biorefinery here for SAPI Europe R&D, and I'm located in Gradkorn, close to Graz in Austria. To start my presentation, I would like to show SAPI at a glance for first. So SAPI is a leading global provider of sustainable wood fiber products and solution. And actually, SAPI Limited is headquartered in Johannesburg in South Africa. So the company is founded in the 1930s in South Africa. And we as a SAPI Europe daughter of SAPI Limited, we have roughly 5,000 employees in Europe, 10 mills, 1 in Austria, 3 in Germany, 1 in Finland, Belgium, and so on. SAPI Europe is headquartered in Brussels, and we are one of the leading European producers on supply of coated fine paper. And this is actually what leads us directly to the ideas of Sassfert and to the research interests of SAPI. So SAPI in South Africa is managing roughly 400,000 hectares of wood, and is highly dependent on these resources. And so we are doing the managing of the forests, and we're doing the end use of the product. So we are, especially in Europe, we are producing graphic papers. In South Africa, a lot of dissolving wood pulp for clothes, nanocellulose, casting and release papers. And of course, this is the cellulose part of our product and research interests. And then we have, of course, the other parts of the trees, the hemicellulose and the lignin. And the lignin is a part of the Sassfert project. So as you can see, SAPI is tending to a whole use of the plant. Why is this so necessary for SAPI? I can show you just a short look into the SAPI 2020 Group Sustainability Report, and this is definitely our path of the future. And on the right-hand side, on this corner, you can see the key material issue, the sourcing of the wood fiber. We have to be really responsible with our resources, and the global greenhouse gas emissions are really threatening all those resources. So we have definitely to reduce our fossil fuel usage, and we have to fight against global warming. And meanwhile we are doing this, we have to keep the water quality up and the quantity, and we have to avoid the biodiversity loss. And with this, I want to hand over to the concept of Sassfert. Günther gave us a short overview before, and the SAPI contribution. So actually, SAPI is already a biorefinery. We are not just producing pulp and paper, as you can see here. We're also producing lignin. This lignin is up to now used in concrete, for example, as dispersing agent. Also, of course, in our mills, it's for heating and electricity production, but it's also spread for district heating. So an example of it is for the Gradkorn mill. So we're heating the north of Graz with district heating. But the focus here in the SUSFED project is give the lignin an additional value. So we use it to replace synthetic coating polymers with enzymatically modified lignosulfonates, and we are producing by this with bio-based, biodegradable coatings. And we are really far at the moment in our project. So I think I can state this, field trials are going on with our material. And one big outcome, which makes us very proud in the SUSFED project, is that we were able to show with our partners, especially here with the partners from the University of Antwerp, Mark Spieler and Julia Santolin, they were able to create a life cycle assessment of our data, and we were able to show when we are using our lignosulfonates, a byproduct of the pulping process SAPI is using, and we're taking a part of it, and then we create this coating for fertilizers, which are necessary, as Günther explained just before, to keep the nutrients for the plants close to the plants and not to wash them away. And we use this coating and we compare it, for example, with polyurethane coatings. In a cradle-to-gate comparison, we can see we can reduce up to 4 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram of product with our lignosulfonate coating. And this is a very nice example and really encouraging for the SUSFED project and for SAPI to be in these highly interesting EU projects. And with that short example, I come to my last slide. So we tried, we make what we should, not just what we can. And with this last slide, I want to hand over back again to Günther and to Steve. And thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. I think, yeah. Do you need to sum up there, Günther, or we're good to go?
No. I think we can continue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So our next project up is BioVexo, and BioVexo was again, it's a BBI project. It's an innovation action again, and has just begun last year in May, and we. I'm happy to introduce a couple of very important partners from here. We have, well, first of all, BioVexo is about biocontrol of Sayella and its vector in olive trees for integrated pest management. So we're going to hear about the problem what Sayella is, and I think some of you will know it, but many won't. And it's a disease, a viral disease, devastating olive plantations in southern Europe. Beyond the olives, also actually almond trees and other. It's a major threat to agriculture in general, and so we're super happy to have Jose Manuel Garcia Madero. I'm trying my Spanish out. Who's from Domke, and Domke is they are specialized actually in food preservation. Food is their. But also beyond food preservation, they also work in all kinds of innovation areas, so cheese coatings and food additives and ingredients, and of course they also do pest or plant protection, and with reducing and with minimizing residues in the agriculture, which is obviously an important part of reducing emissions to soil and water, groundwater and surface water. And as the end user in this project, we have Josip Pokalis, who is representing an organic olive and a smallhold farmer. They have mainly olives, but also almonds and others in Mallorca. And so Josip will be telling us about their farm, their use, their need for biological solutions to solve the Sayella problem. So I hand straight over to Jose. Please, Jose, would you take the screen?
Of course. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much. Perfect.
Can you see my screen in full screen? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, full screen, all good.
Okay. Good morning, my name is Jose Manuel Garcia Madero. I am the project manager from Donca, one of the partners of the BBIJU project. Thank you for the introduction, Stephen. First of
Jose,
all,
could you maybe move your microphone a little closer? You're quite faint.
Yes, no problem.
Thank
you. First of all, I will briefly introduce my company Donca, then I will talk about the project. Donca is a Spanish company located in Granada, in the south of Spain, with more than 40 years of experience offering innovative solutions for the agri-food sector. These solutions include food coatings, additive products to control emerging pathogens, and functional ingredients for human and animal nutrition. The company is currently integrated in DNC Holding Business Group with factory in Granada and Argentina and approximately 555 highly qualified employees. Since its foundation, Donca has been extremely active in research and development. Our lines of research are diverse, including developing natural solutions for preservation, pest control in agriculture, or the development of molecules with an application for human nutrition and pharmacology. In order to develop these objectives, the company participates very actively in several projects in collaboration with other companies or public entities. And for Donca, it is always very important to offer sustainable and environmentally friendly solutions, taking always the nature as a model. Because of this active participation in R&D projects and our previous experience developing solutions against plant pathogens, we are part of the BioVexu projects and leading two work packages. And the main objective of BioVexu project, as Stephen said before, is to fight against Xylella fastidiosa. EFSA considers Xylella fastidiosa as one of the most dangerous plant pathogenic bacteria in the world. It causes a wide range of diseases with huge economic impact on agriculture, gardens, and the environment. Xylella fastidiosa was first detected in Europe in 2013 when an outbreak began in Apulia, in the south of Italy. Since then, it has been reported in France, Spain, Central Italy, and Portugal. Emergency control measures are in place in all the outbreak areas. The bacterium lives in the plant xylem tissue and is commonly spread by insect vectors feeding from the plant xylem. Symptoms range from leaf browning to plant death. The specific symptoms and sequence and pace of infection vary because of the wide range of potential host plants, the diversity of the pathogen, and the level of infection, as well as the different climatic conditions in areas where the bacterium is found. Many host plants infected with Xylella fastidiosa may not express any symptoms, while others may show severe leaf scorching and wilting up to complete desiccation, as you can see in these pictures from Apulia in the south of Italy. Although Xylella can affect a wide variety of plants, in BioVexu we are focused on olive trees and almond trees for its overall importance in Europe. BioVexu aims to develop and test 6 candidates biocontrol solutions acting either against Xylella or its vector, including 2 bacterial strains, a microbial metabolite, 2 plant extracts, and an entomopathogenic fungus. These solutions are being tested in curative and preventive approach in small-scale field trials, and the best solutions will be upscaled for the next large-scale field trial in a second stage of the project. These trials are being conducted in 3 different places, in Apulia, in the south of Italy, in Mallorca, and recently we have started in Alicante only in almond trees. BioVexu involves academic and industry partners from Spain, Italy, Slovenia, Austria, and Belgium. BioVexu demonstrates environmentally sustainable and economically viable plant protection solutions, combining the use of Xylella targeting biopesticides with biopesticides combining the insect vectors, transmitting the disease, and makes them available for ready use in integrated pest management. This is a 5-year project that started in May 2020. Environmental benefits of our solutions are given along the complete value chain. BBIJU products have improved sustainability performance compared to currently used chemical pesticides. Our products are being tested for toxicity, including testing for potential effects on non-target organisms like bees. Our products will be highly biodegradable without any negative effects for the environment. And most importantly, BBIJU products will greatly reduce the need for chemical control strategies. They are particularly suited for organic agriculture, contributing to promoting organic farming systems. They will also be demonstrated in integrated pest management strategies across different soils and plant growing conditions. The environment and European citizens can benefit from the demonstrated biopesticides through reduced exposure to harmful substances. So thank you very much for your attention. Now we will hear the experience of one of our partners in BBIJU, Josep Ocalles, one of the owners of the organic farm Aymerit, located in Mallorca. Josep, I will stop presenting and you can start.
Thank you, Jose Manuel, and good morning, everyone. So I'm going to present my screen. Well, first of all, thanks for the organizers. We are honored to participate on this presentation, and also thanks, Stephen, for your compliment about the important partner. We are just a small farm, family-owned business, and I'm trying to explain basically what we do and what is our goal. So as Jose Manuel said, we are based in Mallorca. And it's the fourth generation, an extension of 175 hectares. And the majority of those hectares are basically for cultivation, almond, carrots, and olive trees. And we have been probably one of the first farms that had the organic certification for 16 years already. And so we are now tackling several projects, basically with the solar panels deployment and water wells, and also other projects in the basically for biodiversity. So the location of the property,
Josep, sorry, we can't see your slides.
You can see. Let me check.
Can you try again?
Alternatively,
can you see my slide now?
Now, yes. So presentar, great. Okay.
So as I said before, the location of the property is basically well connected with most European countries, basically thanks to our international airport. And so it's 30 minutes from Palma, and it's inside of the Tramontana mountain range, declared World Heritage. I guess that all the participants here understand the importance of Mallorca as a touristic destination. So here, perhaps what I'm going to talk is not only about the case of a small farm, but also the importance of the whole island and probably perhaps the whole Mediterranean as a touristic destination. I think no one here understands Mallorca without the beauty of the trees and, of course, the beaches also, but especially the forests, and the biodiversity is important to keep on the right status. Okay. So as I said before, it's a family farm, 4 generations, and we have almost 2,000 almond trees and 500 olive trees, and some of them they are affected by chalea. And so we are trying with BBIJU to implement several strategies in order to tackle this pest. Also, we have 800 carrot trees and centennial trees, and also 2,000 olive trees. We also produce our own honey. And as you will see here, the strategy perhaps is not only by using products, biological products from the partners that participate in BBIJU, but also the intervention of the native fauna and flora. And as you can see here in the pics, some of them are affected, and you will see clearly on the trees where the vector is present and is affecting the trees. So it's an important action or urgent action required in order to tackle this pest, because we may end up as the disastrous or terrible pictures that Jose Manuel presented before. And so basically, the situation in Mallorca, and probably as the other farmers, is that because of the strong threat, they decided to abandon the farm, or also to plant other trees or cereals. And so this is affecting seriously the food value chain, and we have to import for the tourists, and also even for the local population, we have to import the food. And so this is what we want to change. I think that as a family farm, we understand that being the fourth generation, how important it is to keep that, or to keep the legacy for the next generations. And the current situation is that if we don't fight against this plague, we understand the important loss of jobs, and also not the jobs also for the agriculture. As I said before, the tourism, it's also an important source of income. So as I can say, the strategy that we're trying to address is also the help of the pollinators. And you can see in our website, projectequilibri.org, our intention to make the pollinators, to increase the productivity of the farm. So with bioactive strategies and I mean the complementary strategies to attend these pests, and also the participation of the fauna on the farm. This is these pigs are real, and this is from the farm. So in a few years after we decided to combine the production of the carrots and also the almonds, and we could create also a little space or little paradise for the animals, so they can reproduce with no threat for hunting. Okay, this is the flowers that basically it makes the pollinators to make their part of the business, and I think that also the combination of the funds that are on the property, I think everything makes the ecosystem, and understanding the importance of the biodiversity. So the challenges and the motivation to be 100% organic is as I said, is to keep the basically to keep, of course, the ecological certificate. But the challenge was that we couldn't apply chemical compounds, and so we needed to go only with organic compounds, like from Donka and other partners from Austria also. And so we started to apply last year, and we hope that finally this will lead, and being us a small farmer, to disseminate with other producers that these other strategies are possible. And so finally, I'd like to invite other partners or companies that are involved in the investigation around Europe, that we are open for interesting projects to participate, because I think that this property is big enough to allocate other projects. And finally, thanks again to the Horizon 2020 strategy, because I think that without their help, this small farm wouldn't be sustainable. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Jose and Josep. It's obviously a huge problem in the Mediterranean area, and we all hope that this gets better soon, and we're working on that. So we have to move on. We're a little bit behind time, and now something completely different. We're going to look at the Sustain Air project. The Sustain Air is a groundbreaker in the area of aviation. So how can you apply circular economy principles to the aviation sector? Well, we're going to hear about that from Jürgen Reiter, who is the scientific coordinator, is the coordinator of the Sustain Air project, funded under H2020. And he will give you the overview, and then we're going to talk to one of the high-tech SMEs involved in this project, the company called Invent, which is represented by Jesper de Witt, who is the head of R&D business unit at Invent, and Stefan Stieger, head of business unit aviation. So I'll hand the floor straight over to Jürgen. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. Thank you to giving me the opportunity to present the Sustain Air project. So just to split the screen. So now it should be screen number 2, and I will start my presentation. So now you can see the presentation, hopefully. So thank you.
Not yet. Sorry, not yet.
No presentation?
No.
Oh, sorry. Split the screen. Yes, now you should see.
No, we see your empty screen.
Empty screen. Perfect. Thank you. Then I will start. What is going on here? So
perfect.
Here, now,
we see.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michaela. So yes. I want to present now the Sustain Air project. So as Stephen already announced at the beginning, this project is a very young project. So it started in January 2021. So the Sustain Air project, as you can see on the left-hand side, maybe I will switch on a laser pointer. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, it's a nice picture. What is Sustain Air? What does Sustain Air deal with? So in contrast to this, what we have heard so far, you can see Sustain Air is obviously a project which is related to aircraft and aircraft performance. And our goal is to contribute to zero pollution and to obtain a green planet, and this is done by a circular economy approach in aviation. Regarding this approach, I will show you later on what I'm meaning with this. So yes, of course, my name is Jürgen. I'm the coordinator, and Jesper from Invent will also give the second part of this presentation. So first the content, short introduction, then the overall concept of the Sustain Air project, the circular aviation concept. Then I will give you a first overview of the work packages and how we plan to implement the project, and I will also present to the project partners, and then I will hand over to Jesper. So just for a short introduction, Sustain Air is the abbreviation for Sustainability Increase of Lightweight, Multifunctional and Intelligent Airframe and Engine Parts. So we are 10 partners from 3 different European countries. The budget of the project is roughly €5 million, a duration of 42 months, and we started at the 1st of January of this year. We are addressing the greening of aircraft in the project, and this should be done by reducing the energy consumption during flight operations, first by reducing the masses and by increasing the aerodynamic efficiency. Here, this is, let's say, an overview picture or a sketch how Sustain Air uses the four scope items of this MG35 2020 Horizon 2020 call topic to achieve impact. So in principle, we are working with morphing technologies. We design and manufacture innovative joints for aircraft materials. We manufacture and integrate structural health monitoring systems, and we also develop some new MRO and recycling methods. Therefore, we use 8 key enabling technologies, which we develop in the project. Then this leads to a demonstrator with having these favorable properties. and all together should or have to end up with some key exploitable results to make an impact in the circular economy in aviation. So to show you here the overall concept of the circular economy in aviation, in Sustainair, the project partners develop solutions to increase the resource efficiency and aircraft performance, to reduce waste and material costs for the total aircraft life cycle. And this life cycle is begins from the design to the manufacturing of maintenance and repair, through the dismantling and recycling. And in Sustainair introduces this circular economy to the aerospace engineering to reduce material and energy consumption, thus contributing to a zero pollution across the entire value chain. So when we start here with raw materials coming into this circular economy approach, coming in some raw materials, some first life materials, together with some remaining materials from the recycling process. These remaining materials is pronounced as second life materials. We start here the cycle with the design requirements, taking into account the first and the second life scenarios. Based on these design requirements, coupons and elements for aircrafts will be manufactured and combining coupons, joining technologies, and introducing some damage diagnostic systems for the maintenance to extend to the component's lifetime. And when the end of life of such an aircraft component is reached, then we have some automatic dismantling technologies which will be applied to maximize the amount of remaining material and thus to enable the second life for these materials. And again, the circle starts again. Here, just a short overview on the work packages, how we want to implement this. So we have here as a first work package, we have here this circular aircraft by design work package. Here is the PERT chart showing this work package where we design with fully recyclable materials and embedded functionalities, and where we design some aircraft coupons or components. These components or coupons will be manufactured in the following work packages, number 2, 3, and 4. This means number 2 is the manufacturing work package. Number 3 is the damage diagnostics work package, where we integrate functionalities into the aircraft components to have a look on if there is a damage or no damage or almost a damage of the coupon. And then the fourth work package is the joining and repair technologies work package for similar and dissimilar materials. And with all these work packages together, they result into the realization of a second life demonstrator, which is also fed from these design requirement work package. So this is the scientific and technological point of view, and this is conducted by the dissemination, exploitation, and communication activities, and by the management and the coordination work package. Just finally from my side to show you the partners. So we are here, all the partners together. You can see here we are the Austrian Institute of Technology, the coordinator. We have here RTDS group on board as the dissemination, exploitation, communication responsible partner. And here we have a lot of different partners such as NLR working on composites, DLR working on titanium materials, uranium research, Johannes Kepler University from Linz, the Institute of Structural Lightweight Design. They are responsible for the damage diagnostics. We have here the TU Delft acting here as a work package 1 as the circular design lead. We have here a company Inocon and also DTC. And finally, we have here the company Invent. Invent is a German company which realizes innovative composites and commercializes some new technologies. And now I want to thank you for your attention and want to hand over to Jesper from Invent, that he can present his or Invent's contribution to the Sustainair project. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Jürgen. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, perfect.
Yes, great. Yes, as you just said, my name is Jesper de Witt. I'm a project manager at Invent. Invent is a SME with around about 100 employees in the middle of Germany. We are located in Braunschweig. Invent is a specialist in developing and manufacturing fiber reinforced plastics. Mainly for the flying industries. We are a tier 1 supplier for the aviation industry, but also manufacture components for the space industry. But also we are manufacturing parts or components for other industries like the medicine sector or the automotive industry. We are also representing topics related to the research and development, and which is the department I'm working for. And together with the other business units of Invent, the R&D is constantly working on new systems, products, or systems for strengthening the competitiveness of Invent. Yes. This is also the reason why we are participating in Sustainair. Here we are researching a variety of topics, as you can see on the right side of this slide. Here are the topics of Invent representing the different work packages listed. For example, we are developing a structure for a morphing wing. We are developing a new concept for recycled waste fiber material, which we gain from our production waste. And also we are developing developing existing ideas for innovative separation process for bonded joints. Invent has also the lead in the coordination of the manufacturing task for the demonstrators. Next slide, please. We expect several positive results from this project. I have listed here some bullet points. I don't want to go in detail in all the points, but highlight only the most interesting ones. For example, we will explore new insights on recycling of the FRP, the fiber reinforced plastic production waste, as I just said, which is obviously one of the important topics of the near future. We are investigating innovative repairing approaches, as well as the consideration of the first and second life of aviation or aerospace components, which is also an important topic for us for the next future. Because fiber composite materials have a long service life and in some cases over several life cycles regarding the surrounding structure. So if innovative repair techniques are developed, they can be used for a correspondingly longer period, for example. And after this project, it will be possible for us to offer composites with integrated functional layers, for example, elastomers for morphing. This will lead to a gapless wings, for example, and thus an improved airflow can be realized. Additionally, smart structures can be developed for helping detect the detection of possible defects. Those use cases are seen here on the right. On the top is the morphing wing of a R&D project in the past, and below you can see demonstrators of Invent regarding the structural health monitoring technology. Next slide, please. In the past, numerous functional demonstrators for movable wings have successfully been developed by Invent and the consortium. And and structural health monitoring could successfully be introduced into aviation-related demonstrators at Invent. This will be developed further on in Sustain Air, and together with the additionally topic recycling and repair, we will bring, I will say, innovative and sustainable strategy to Invent. This will lead for us for offering new products with respect or regarding the social and economic topics of the future. The development of the combined solutions for the industrial composite materials. Also, we will offering for specific customers state-of-the-art solutions for the functional integration of sustainable materials, with regard to the circular economy. And I think this was the last slide. Yes, thank you very much for the possibility to introduce Invent and Sustain Air, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jürgen and Jesper. Yes, and it's as you see, the diversity of contributions to zero pollution and market and circular economy. I would move on now to introduce you to Virginia Puzzolo, who is the Bio-Based Industry Joint Undertaking Head of Program. So there's Virginia, I can see her there, it's nice to see you. Who's going to give us a little bit of an overview what happened the last year at BBIJU, and who knows, maybe a couple of insights what's coming up, what's going on. We'll see. All right, I'll hand over to Virginia, and then when we'll wind up, please stick around for afterwards. We're going to have a bit of a discussion. We've got a few questions. We want to have a little bit of a discussion. We know we're a bit over time, but that's how it is, and so Virginia, please take the screen.
Yes, thanks a lot, Stefan. First of all, for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. I'm starting sharing my screen, so just tell me if you see it. And now also in full screen. Is it okay? Perfect. Okay, so maybe before that we start, just a few words on who I am. I'm the head of program of the BBIJU since September last year. So I remain relatively new to the specificity of BBI, but I am in full lead of the program implementation, and I'm deeply involved in the discussion for the future partnership. So I think is an excellent opportunity indeed to be with you today and to give you some highlights on what is our thinking in relation to the EU Green Deal, which is, of course, a key pillar in terms of policy for this Commission, and as well, how do we see the evolution for the future partnership. So just to start the presentation, so we'll divide in these two blocks. I think it's important to recall who we are, the Bio-Based Industry Joint Undertaking, and in particular what were our objective for the Horizon 2020 period. You know that we have been established indeed as one of the public-private partnership in Horizon 2020, and our main objective was indeed to develop a sustainable and competitive bio-based industry in Europe, with the specific accent on creating advanced biorefineries that source their bio-based sustainable products. So this is what we try to do during the 7 years of our establishment, and we have been based with yearly call for proposal. I saw some of our projects today present, so you know very well what I'm talking about, on the strategic and innovation research agenda. That was the overarching strategy developed by the industry in consultation with the stakeholder and the Commission to cover indeed the objective of the joint undertaking. We had three main type of actions that we funded. One focusing on low TRL, the research and innovation action, a bulk of them that were developing a new business model and demonstrating up to TRL 6-7, and a set of biorefineries, first of a kind, that are called flagship, which were, let's say, high TRL ready to market demonstrator of large plants. And I think it's nice for you to have now the full program overview in few figures. So we have concluded the last call. We have signed the grants agreement from the call 2020 just a few weeks ago. And today I can say that our portfolio is covering 142 projects for the full duration of the program with more than 1,000 beneficiaries and an overall budget in terms of contribution from the public part of 822 million. A huge amount of countries, so not only member states, associated country and other third country, but I really like that we take a moment on the part on the right, because there are a few messages there that are important for this community. One is that we have the highest share in Horizon 2020 in terms of participation of SME. This is clearly linked to the specificity of our community. We are particularly based in terms of industry on the growing of the SME endeavor in this context. And we are attracting indeed a lot in the terms of private companies with a huge share of SME. And this is confirmed from the last call with a huge participation, not only in numbers, but also in budget and also in coordinating role. So it means at the lead also of some of the innovation that we are presenting. But we have also, one of the objectives of the partnership is also to ensure transfer of technology, transfer of know-how from research institutions, so university and research organization, to industry. So the partenariat also in that sense is also very strong. 30% of university, higher education establishment and research organization. So this is an overarching few figures that can help you in understanding what we have managed to do in Horizon 2020. And again, to emphasize that the flagship are, of course, our, let's say, point of attention, because they are really those that bridge the transfer from an increase of high technology readiness level up to market production. And we have now 14 flagship overall, again, considering the full program implementation. The 3 ones you see that are a little bit in light green are the new one. The one that have been just completed in terms of grant agreement signature, and they will become full green now because they are starting now these 3 new projects. One of each has even 2 plants, one in Spain and in Italy. So this is to give you again an overview of where we stand in terms of program implementation. But let's move to one of the objectives of today. I was thinking, okay, how do we explain the link with the European Green objectives overall, and in particular starting with the Green Deal? We have been created, and our objective in terms of BBI have come before that the Green Deal have been established. But I mean, the seed were there, and we just link, and we believe we are one of the tools that can achieve the ambitious target that we have set in the European Green Deal. Of course, I believe that we have done an extensive analysis. We contribute to all objectives, but of course, among the different objectives that are here very nicely summarized, there are some where we have a particular concrete example to demonstrate how important can be the bio-based industry to ensure that we achieve the European Green Deal aim and target. And the one that I highlighted in red are those where we have, as I said, the real concrete already outcome and figures I will present that could be important to demonstrate how it is important to continue to fund the bio-based industry, ensure that we have a continuity also for the future with a new partnership, and as well ensure that we move also from research and innovation to real deployment, which is again the objective in the medium long term that have to be pursued. I mean, we are one of the vehicles that can ensure that there is a leverage effect, that indeed there is a huge investment that come on top, so the risking part, that is one of the core objectives of the joint undertaking, that this particular sector absolutely need and continue to need also in the next years. So we went back looking at indeed what are the key targets that we have set in the year and how this may link also with the European Green Deal. And you will see some example and some highlights of our analysis. So these were 4 key objectives that we have set. And analyzing one by one, we can start with the first one. So one of the objectives of the BBIJU was indeed by 2030 to replace 25% of oil-based chemical. And this is what is linked about. I also will do some linkage to other supporting policies that are at the core of the European Green Deal. But clearly the main objective is that we want to transform our economy. We want to green our economy and be able to ensure decoupling the economic growth from the resource depletion. And so what do we have by the end of 2020 based on the project we have funded? We have been capable to already establish 22 new bio-based building blocks, and we expect 128 by 2024. So this is a big achievement for us. We are moving even faster than what was expected. These include polyols, organic acid, organic ester, phenol, alkenes. These are all building blocks that have been funded and developed under our projects. But as well, 24 new bio-based materials with an expectation of other 232 in terms of composite fibers, organic textile, polymers, resins. So this is to say that in our reporting, we ask every year our project to give us in terms of specific indicator and key performance indicator that we have set. We are really in track, and the overarching objective is indeed the one of being able to replace oil-based chemicals in light of this new philosophy and new objective that the European Union has set in terms of production and resource depletion. And another example that support this, it comes from one of our flagship, is After Biochem. This is a flagship that is focusing on agri-processing. So the idea is to create a competitive organic acid and ester with a lower environmental impact. They have based their first-of-a-kind biorefinery in France, and they are already advancing with the building of the facility and with the development of in this case, the organic acid and ester that are the focus of the objective. This is to say how we are contribute to the circular economy, and as well how we can make a difference for the region where this biorefinery will be established. Now, if we move to the next key objective that we set, the strategic objective that we set at the beginning of BBI, we want to drastically reduce the EU dependency on import of strategic raw material, in particular protein, phosphorus and potassium, with specific target, 50% of protein, for example. How do we link this? This is clearly linked to the objectives set in the European Green Deal and in the Farm to Fork strategy in terms of food security, food availability, but as well in generating fairness economy and fostering competitiveness. And we have specific projects that have demonstrated this capacity of developing new innovative protein value chain like seal feed, farming, Alehop. So just to give an example of completely different value chain that have been tackled with the objective of confirming the possibility for Europe to do not depend on proteins from other countries, and as well with the possibility of reusing. And one thing I want to underline heavily, that we use a lot of residuals as a source of biomass. So it's very important in terms of usage of raw material and depletion of resources. The other dimension that is linked to this specific objective is the phosphorus and potassium, with the objective of 25% reduction. And here we have BEFIRST, another demo activity that is particularly focusing on the production of nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, developed from bio-waste to fertilizer. And again, this is a good example that explains also one point, that is the reuse of residuals and bio-waste that we generate from different feedstock. A key element on the Green Deal is clearly the reduction of greenhouse gases. And this was one of the key objectives also for the BBI. And how do we do this? Of course, one thing is to use renewable resources, but with low carbon footprint. So substituting fossil resources with sustainable local source of bio-based resources. This is, of course, one of the core objectives that we had in BBI, and we will continue to have in the future partnership. But as well to create and develop sustainable processes in terms of utilization and recycling of CO2. And from the technical processes that we are implementing, and as well creating energy efficiency processes linked to that. Overall, we have an estimation that only consider the 14 flagship that I mentioned before, the biorefineries first of a kind, that we can arrive to save 720 KT CO2. So this is just again to give some numbers on what we are talking about and how concretely we can support the achievement that are set at political and policy level with the European Green Deal. And I like this example when I had the presentation from the coordinator of the Silva project, which is one of our finalized flagship project. It was really nice what they tried to do to explain how we can reduce indeed the emission link to our production, in this case the production of first of a kind, first commercially available microfibrillated cellulose. And they say this, so we can compare with the emission that we have when we fly around the globe, and in terms of pesticide, packaging, starch, parties board, etc., etc. So you can really have an idea of how many reduction you can have, because they correspond, they have been calculated nicely with an aircraft full load in terms of passenger in cycle around the world. This gives again a flavor of how strong can be the impact if we go in full-scale deployment and production, and how this can indeed achieve some of key objectives of the European Green Deal in terms of greenhouse gases reduction. But we also look at the job creation. So what we want is support the ambitious goal that are set on an environmental level, also with the need of ensuring growth, and especially in coastal and rural area, possibility of having jobs, new jobs, green job. So, of course, the flagship again are the one that demonstrate more what can be triggered in terms of investment and in terms of direct job creation. But I will not undermine what also the demo and the pipeline of objectives that are set starting from the RIA can achieve. So just few figures again to give you a flavor of what we have been managing to mobilize in terms of additional private investment. So the point of the risking that I was mentioning before, that is a key element that come from the public engagement, in fact, the public funding. So we managed to mobilize 1.3 billion of additional private investment only on the 11 flagship ongoing. The 3 new one, of course, they have to start, with a creation of more than 3,500 direct jobs and more than 10,000 indirect jobs. So clearly the reporting is huge in terms of job creation, but as well in which type of jobs we are going to create. So jobs that are linked to engineering and development of new products. And it is important to underline that more than a half of the jobs that we are discussing are in rural regions, which it's one of the key objectives, again, of the initiative in terms of growth and social development. To conclude on this part, just add a few highlights is, again, another key pillar that is highlighted in the European Green Deal is linked to zero waste and circular society. And overall in our portfolio, 64% contribute directly to waste reduction, reuse, recycling, and valorization. And this is, again, a big important figures for us to underline. And as I was mentioning, We are very careful on the sustainable feedstock. This will be even more emphasized in the new partnership, because what we want is that, first of all, that the feedstock used in our project is sustainably sourced in Europe and is not competing with food production. That's why I was also mentioning the majority of the biomass is coming from residuals, and it is coming mainly from 3 blocks, as underlined, plus I will say also something that is emerging and will become, I believe, more prominent in the future partnership, that is the organic waste from urban waste. So agriculture, sustainable forest, and circular bioeconomy linked mainly to aquatic related feedstock, seafood, but also algae, are indeed the source of our biomass, which is very carefully monitored with life cycle assessment and all the standard aspects in terms of sustainability. And now, to conclude my presentation, few slides on the future, because I believe this is very important for this community, for you to hear. So we have concluded. So we exist, we continue to exist because the projects are ongoing. We have only few projects finalized, but the BBIJU have been established under the Horizon 2020 for the period 2014-2020, and will continue and transformed because will be embedded, absorbed by the new partnership, that is the Circular BioBIJU Europe joint undertaking, in the new program, that is the Horizon Europe program 2021-2027. Just to give some figures to understand also some of the linkage between these two partnerships. Of course, there is a continuation side, but as well there are some novelties that are linked, and I will say more about the ambitious set in the new partnership by the Commission and the private partner. Just looking at the second part of these slides, focusing a little bit more on the future, on the Circular BioBIJU Europe joint undertaking, as I mentioned, is part of the Horizon Europe package for research and innovation funding. It foreseen a 2 billion public-private initiative. The idea in the new, let's say, private-public partnership, not only BBI, but everyone, is indeed to have one-to-one. So €1 for public investment, €1 for private investment. That's a bit the philosophy installed in the new joint undertakings and institutionalized partnership, as we call it here. We have had, let's say, an agreement in principle from the Commission with the submission, and it is now at the Council level of the discussion on the Single Basic Act, because there is only one single overarching proposal that has been created for all the joint undertaking, with specific sections that are dedicated to each of us. We have 9 institutionalized partnerships under discussion. And we are at the moment expecting, first of all, let's say the agreement, because the adoption will take place only after the vote of the Parliament in September from the Council. And the idea and the expectation we have is to enter into force before the end of 2021, so to establish the new partnership and transfer the whole to the new one around November 2021. This is to give you a little bit of a timeline also on the legislative procedure that is happening right now. But what do we aim with the new partnership? Certain things remain the same. We remain, in terms of governance and expectation, based on the European Commission as a public part and the bio-based industry consortium as a private part. We will build on the success of this, the BBIJU, but as well we will increase the dimension of what is expected in terms of EU contribution to climate targets, and in particular, as I mentioned to you, the link with the European Green Deal. So we will really reinforce our contribution to 2030 climate targets, specifically paving the way for climate neutrality by 2050. So the link really with the European Green Deal is extremely stronger for CBE. The objective will remain to increase the sustainability and circularity of production and consumption system. This is, you understand, is fully in line with what we have done also in the current partnership. And we will continue to aim to develop and expand the sustainability sourcing, as I was mentioning before, and the conversion of biomass into bio-based products. We will support the development of bio-based innovation at regional level, and in particular with the aim of revitalizing rural and coastal region, as it was already an objective in the previous partnership. Of course, how do we think to do that is also creating a new type of bodies in the governance structure. Just for your information, we will continue to have the two advisory bodies we had in the BBI, the scientific and the state representative, but we will have also a deployment group with different configuration to help indeed on the deployment at regional and market level. And now I'm sure you have a question on the timeline for the future calls. You understand perfectly that first we need to be established, be created as a body, and then we will be able to start with the first call for CBE. Our timeline is first quarter 2022 to open the call, with the probability to be able to adopt and publish the annual program in final version already by the end of this year. I will really encourage you, because the timeline is not yet fully fixed, because there are still all the legislative procedure to be completed before. But if you subscribe in our newsletter or in the big member or the Horizon Europe funding and tender, you monitor constantly, especially from after the summer onward, you will find new information, and we will immediately inform all of you whenever the plan is stabilized. Again, keep just in your mindset that the annual program will need to be adopted by the end of the year, and the idea of opening the call is first quarter 2021. So at the latest, I expect April 2022. First quarter 2022. So this is, I think, was the last slide for my presentation. So I will stop sharing. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Virginia. That's quite some details there and lots of numbers. We know how BBIJU loves to collect numbers, you know? And we love to deliver. Look, okay, so the time has run a bit short, but we've still got a half an hour. Well, we've got some questions and discussions. Just before we start there, though, I was hoping I know people were stuck, get hungry and disappear. If we could do like a old school screenshot photo of at least of the speakers first, and then of the whole group, and then we'll see if it works at all. There's a lot of people online. I don't even know if it works. But there's Josip.
For the speakers, yeah, it's doable.
There's Gunther.
Yeah.
There's ITD's group. I don't know who that is. I think it's Michaela.
Yeah, that's me.
It's you. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so yeah,
You
everybody
can do it for
smile.
the speakers.
Who is missing it? Where's Massimo? No camera for Massimo? You just wrote a question then, so he must be around.
So we'll try for the speakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, cheese, everybody. Oh, there's Massimo. So he did make it.
Super.
All right. Yeah. Good. Did it work? Wait for it.
Okay, we have it.
Okay.
I saw I was muted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can do another one. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, cheese. Perfect. And now second slide. 3, 2, 1, cheese. Very nice. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so
And
that's
that.
Let's see if try it. Turn the cameras on, see if it works. I don't know.
It's not possible because then we need to allow everyone, and then it's
Okay,
going
all right,
to create.
doesn't matter.
Yes,
Fine, all
please
good.
go
So
with the questions.
So we've got some time for discussion, and I have a few questions per project. But the floor is kind of open. We've got some questions via the chat as well. And actually, if I did go via project, I would go back to Tech for Effect, which was quite some time ago now, of course, and we've forgotten all about it, but we'll try anyway. We do have, where is it? Just one sec. There we go. There. We have, I mean, first of all, from Tech for Effect, which is at the forestry end of the value chain, no wood, no bioeconomy, you know that. The question would be, first of all, on the forest side, I mean, just on the, given the work done on Tech for Effect, can you kind of highlight, Rasmus, some of the ways which we can strengthen contributions of Europe's forest towards zero pollution? How are we going to get more out of the forest? What's going to happen? You think in the next 10, 20 years? Forestry, we talk 50 years, right? So
even more here in the north. 50 years is just the beginning. No, I think forest certainly has a key role in European green ambitions. I think both in terms of providing the emerging bioeconomy with fiber, on the other hand, really acting as a carbon store and a carbon sink, and not least also for biodiversity, and not least for water protection and a lot of other ecosystem services. So I think what the challenge we stand in front of with the forests in Europe is that in the coming decades we'll have to provide